Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Cool.
Star Wars Outlaws. Experience the first ever open world Star Wars action adventure game and explore distinct locations across the galaxy, both iconic and new. Risk it all as Scoundrel K-Vess, seeking freedom and the means to start a new life. Fight still and outwit your way through the galaxy's crime syndicates as you join the galaxy's most wanted. If you're willing to take the risk, the galaxy is full of opportunities. Explore distinct locations with bustling cities, race across sprawling outdoor landscapes on your speeder. Each location brings new adventures, unique challenges, and enticing rewards if you're willing to take the risk. Live the high-stakes lifestyle as an outlaw. Turn any situation to your advantage with Nix by your side. Fight with your blaster, overcome enemies with stealth and gadgets, or find the right moments to distract enemies and gain the upper hand. Take on high-risk, high-reward missions from the galaxy's crime syndicates, steal valuable goods, infiltrate secret locations, and outwit enemies as one of the galaxy's most wanted. Every choice you make influences your ever-changing reputation. Pilot the ship, the Trailblazer, as you engage in thrilling dogfights with the Empire and other foes. Fight the right opportunities to chase, evade, and attack to get the upper hand. That's Star Wars Outlaws. Got Biff here. That sounds like Game of the Year to me. What do you think?
That sounds like it's worth playing, that game, doesn't it?
Maybe that's not what you got.
Nice.
We'll get into all the details here about Star Wars Outlaws. What did you play? As on PS5? That's standard. That's locked in. That's being played. Do you know roughly how long you played it for?
No. I'd probably say 30, 40 hours maybe.
Okay. So
maybe a bit more.
You're in that ballpark. Now, I think the last time we had you on was to talk about Star Wars Fallen... What's that new Jedi one? I can't remember what it's called. Survivor, that's it. And that's in the same franchise, so you've got some experience there. But also you have tortured yourself and played the odd Ubisoft game here and there. Not so much... More recently, I don't think. I can't remember the last Assassin's Creed I remember you talking about was Origins. And that's when you got to the last 10% of the game and then binned it. You had 2 missions left. You were not dealing with this. So I don't know if you've played any other Ubisoft games since then, really. Maybe a Far Cry 6? Did you give that a dab? Or?
Yeah, I gave that a go. I did play Valhalla as well.
Oh, yeah.
But they got binned off as well halfway.
That was way too bloated.
Yeah, it was.
So this is one of your... Well... Do you still like Star Wars? Because a lot of people, it's cool to like hate Star Wars because Disney apparently have just fucked it and put too much stuff out. But I don't watch the newer stuff anymore. I've sort of done Mandalorian and I was like, I'm done with all this stuff. Like, bring out a big film and I might watch it. I'm not watching fucking Endor or whatever is it Endor or Mordor? I can't remember what it's called. I ain't watching those TV series. I ain't got time for it. But are you the opposite? Are you heavily involved in the new Disneyification of Star Wars?
Yeah, I've watched pretty much all of them. Endor, funny enough, I haven't watched, but things like Ahsoka and the Book of Boba and things like that, I've watched all of those, and I'm a big fan of the Star Wars sort of franchise. I know Disney is bloating it, and I reckon for every 4 things they release, probably 1 is worth watching, the other 3 are shit. So that's the sort of ratios we're dealing with at the moment with Disney and Star Wars.
What's worse, Marvel or Star Wars, for like bloat and unnecessary content?
Oh, I would probably say Marvel. There is
they just don't stop.
Dog shit out there. No, yeah.
At least the films have stopped with Star Wars. Like Marvel, just keep going.
There are more films coming out. Apparently, there's a Mandalorian film coming out. I read a few weeks ago.
I don't mind that. Don't mind the. Is it going to have what's his name? Joel Pedro in it.
It's got to. They can't just replace him halfway through and go out.
Barely takes his fucking helmet off, so people might have forgotten. But that's Joel Miller now. It's fucked it for everyone. And what about the Ubisoft side of things? I feel like you've got a bit of a love-hate relationship, more hate than love these days, but they served a purpose for a long time.
They make a really good trailer, Ubisoft. They really, especially to me, I always go.
And write a good store page apparently as well.
yeah, sell a good yarn. But yeah, I must admit, I can't remember the last time I played a Ubisoft game, and I was like, "Cool, that's a good one." That is like, I don't know, but they do make a good trailer, and I always get suckered in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They've delayed that Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is Assassin's Creed set in Japan. Do you think that would have tickled your fancy just because of the setting, or would it just felt like this is Ghost of Tsushima light? Because that's like the daddy of those sort of games in that setting.
To be honest, I'm sort of done with Creed. I think
right.
I don't know what they're going to have to do to get me to come back, but it's going to be a fucking lot. And I quite like that sort of Japanese sort of ninja samurai sort of whole thing. I think it's quite a good setting. But Ghost of Tsushima was a good game. Obviously, there's a new one coming out, isn't there? So
Yotei.
If you're going to back a horse, it ain't going to be fucking Ubisoft, is it? Let's be honest. It's probably going to be Ghosts of the new. What's it? Yotei, is it?
Yotei. Yeah, I mean they'll have to tighten up on getting that right eventually. I will, but not at the moment. It's not close enough. There's a rumor going around they might remake Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which I know you spent fucking dozens of hours on trying to upgrade your ship and going after the legendary ships, and they were like that was like rock hard end game stuff. Would a remake of that tempt you, or you like no, not even one of my favourite Assassin's Creeds I'll go back to?
I mean, it possibly. I'm not, to be honest, after this game we'll get into, I'm not buying any more stuff day one from Ubisoft. I need to see the reviews, I need to see the data, the evidence, and then I'll buy it rather than just ordering it and then going, fuck, they've done me again, because that's what they've done for the last 10 games in the spin. So, even the Japanese one, I mean, I might play that one, the Shadows one, but, I'd need to see the empirical data first before I make that purchase again.
Yeah, it's the only sensible thing to do with Ubisoft, really. So back to Star Wars Outlaws. I mean, there's a lot of promise here. They've touted it as the first ever open world Star Wars action adventure game. There's a lot of labels they've used there to get to that first ever, but it does feel like it is the first attempt of a game like this in the Star Wars kind of universe. What's the basic kind of premise of the game? Because from what I can understand, you take control of Kay Vess, who's like a freedom fighter or a mercenary. I don't know how you describe it in this lands, and I'm sure there's an overarching sort of story and whatnot what's going on, but is the setup play as a scoundrel, deal with this menace that might be going on, and on the way you'll just be fucking about, ripping people off and stealing shit?
Yeah, so basically the game sort of entails you are an outlaw, so you're trying to escape a planet where your mum abandoned you to the world of, like, I don't know, organised crime, gambling.
Loads of parents abandoning their kids in Star Wars. I can't help but pick up on that. It's happening all the time.
Big old universe out there. There's a lot of shit parents.
Yeah.
And you basically try and get off the planet, and then you do deals with various sort of criminal syndicates, and there's like a big job at the end, which means you could sort of wipe the slate clean and go off as a millionaire, and that's what it's aiming for.
That's
and then there's
dangling
sort of
carrot.
Yeah, basically. And then there's like a mum sort of in the background comes back and goes, and they do a job together. So it's that sort of story arc about a sort of relationship with her mum and her trying to get off this shitty planet and, be an outlaw and make a bit of money and just fucking sail off into the sunset sort of thing.
Any good or tut?
Tut. It's not... I just didn't give a shit. It's really weird because there's some characters when you sort of meet them, you think, oh, this is quite cool. But I just thought, I don't care about your mum and I don't care, let's just get on with this. Let's just get this underway. But the story, it is there in the background. And, there is, I suppose if your mum's abandoned you, you might be able to, create a bond with her. But I don't know. I didn't think she was a very good character. When you think about Star Wars, you've got people like Han Solo and, proper, lovable rogues like that. She didn't come across like that to me. I quite liked her little I don't know what it's called, like it's called Nyx, isn't it, that little alien thing that she uses, and you get like a little backstory about how she met this creature and why they're such good friends. That's quite a cool little thing. But I preferred him. I was more worried about him getting that than her, so it tells you everything.
Is Nick's better than that bot that you get in Jedi? Because these like, what's his name? I can't remember his name, BT something, but he's always helping out and feels like a little character that's on your back.
Yes, he's basically the same as that. I mean, he's probably better because he's got a little bit. He's alive, you know. He's not a robot. Yeah. But yeah, he is a bit like that. He does certain things for you. Does distractions and can knock things over, set off bombs and steal stuff, and so he's quite good little companion to have. But yeah, you soon sort of realise that he's quite limited in what he can do. If you don't want to set off a bomb and create a distraction, he's fucking useless. He can't do anything else other than just distract people.
No.
But yeah, you know,
it's what it is.
He'll fetch a weapon. He'll fetch a weapon if you're into the shit. He will run off and go and get you a gun, which is handy.
I feel like one of the newer Gears of Wars, which you probably haven't played, had that. You could like get the little bot character to go and pick up like a boomer from over the other side of the map if they dropped it, which was somewhat handy. But you can normally get the weapons yourself, so Nix needs to up his game, it sounds like to me. Any sort of, without spoiling them, I guess, any sort of other cameos from like the lore of Star Wars that you're like, oh, good to see them? Or is it do they litter any of those things? I feel like that's a really easy win, just to have these little interconnected moments with like main films or TV Star Wars. Now, it does always find it a bit strange that in a galaxy so big, they're the same people bumping into each other. It's like, how big is this universe really? They do it in The Walking Dead all the time. But are there any like little fan servicey bits in there for people like long-time fans that have maybe watched all the original films, and you can go, oh yeah, okay, they know what they're doing. They're clearly fans of the product.
Yeah, so the film's set between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
What's
and
that?
one of the
2 and 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And one of the criminal syndicates that you can work for and gain favour with is called the Hutts, which is Jabba the Hutt.
Oh yeah, that big slop.
Yeah, so you go to his palace and there's certain things that happen in the second one, certain characters. So there is a lot of like, little cameos and bits like that, but it's more from the Hutts. And so, you talk to Jabba and you see certain characters, certain bounty hunters and things like that.
Nice. That's always good to drop those in. You kind of need to, I think, these days, put the fan service in. Did you have any technical issues, any crashes? He's nodding, so that's a bad sign. Go on, talk me through the technical shape of Star Wars. Because you got this at launch? Was it day one you went and got it? And it was between this and Black Myth, which I might grab your quick thoughts on, because I know you've had a little bundle of a go of it earlier, just to see whether that was the right decision to go with Outlaws initially. But yeah, you had it from launch, so you were unfortunate enough to have probably the worst shape of the game, as with every game. They only improve over time. But was this in a... So I remember your comment for Survivor was, Jedi Survivor was, it shouldn't have left the factory. I can't believe it left the factory. Is Outlaws was it in a similar boat when you were playing through it, or was it in a better shape than that?
It's better than Survivor. Survivor was... How that ever got out, I don't know. That was mental how bad that was when I got that on release. But this is better, but that isn't much of a compliment. This had so many problems with it. It crashed, I would say, probably 10 times in that 40-hour playthrough. It would just stop and it would just go, and then you have to... An error message comes up and you send it off to PlayStation. They log it. They don't do fuck all with it.
Yeah. Paid your money, it don't matter.
Exactly. And then you reboot it and start again. I reckon that happened 10 times. There was other times with the sort of the map, the visuals of the map. So I'll be in a place and I'll go, why can I see the sea? There wasn't any sea here when I turned around a minute ago, but the fucking mountains were gone. There was nothing there. That happened a couple of times. There was just loads of little bits, loads of little buggy bits. You go into a certain area and you just you couldn't get out. You just get snarled up and you go, "What am I? I'm not even caught on anything here." Reset the game, start again. That happened so many times. It was so Again, how it's left the factory, I don't know, but it's better than Survivor. But
it's a low bar, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did it get any better with time? Like, did you notice towards the back end of the game, once maybe a few patches had come out, that it was starting to improve, or was it kind of throughout the whole experience like this is just struggling? There
was a couple of bits where I noticed when I finished the game, Sounds like a real compliment. The backgrounds would load. There was a few times where there was just no background. I was like, why is there no mountains here? Why is there no clouds or anything like that? So I didn't notice that towards the end of the game. But
Yeah.
you know, I mean, if you paid fucking 50, 60 quid for a game, you expect to be able to see it, didn't you? But
Yeah.
there we go.
Was it 60 quid? Was it, or 50? Would you get a physical or take it? So it's probably a bit cheaper.
Yeah. I think I got it about 52. I bought it from that shop too. So I think it's about 52, 53, something like that.
Yeah, they're normally the cheapest actually. Still, sometimes Simply Games, but they disappeared for months and then came back. And I've always been wary of them since then. Like, what were you up to? I just ceased trading for several months. What's really going on there? So we've got a few problems in the technical areas. Does it look nice though when you're playing it? Like, does it have a nice graphical setting to the landscapes? When it loads, does the backgrounds look nice? Character models, that sort of thing, or is that even below par here?
No, I would say that it did look good. And you go into a lot of markets, and there's lots of different sort of what you call it, like aliens. Everyone looks different, and it does feel quite bustling, and you feel like you're in a market, and there's certain vendors doing things, they're cooking, and you really feel like you're in a Star Wars world. You can go into sort of the bar, you know, where Han Solo shoots that little green fella. I forgot his name now.
Who shot first?
That's the bit. Yeah, you can go into that bar.
Who did?
And it
You
feels
tell
like,
me.
Well, they edited it, so we'll never know. But yeah, so it does. You get the vibe of Star Wars, and it does look good, and it feels like a real world. It doesn't feel like there's not enough people in it, and it does look good. And when you're riding on your sort of hover bike going between long distances, the dust kicking up or the water's kicking up, it does look good. And there's different worlds. I don't ask me to name them all, but there's like an icy, snowy one. There was one that's like a jungle, one that's like a desert. So there's sort of variation in that as well, which is good. So it did look good when it worked.
Yeah, that's positive at least. That it at least gets the vibe of Star Wars when you're, you know, for the look and the feel of it. Does the soundtrack complement that as well? Do they have like the similar sort of Star Warsy type soundtrack to go along with it, or is it some sort of weird like doom metal soundtrack that doesn't fit its purpose?
No, I would say it was pretty sort of It's like
fucking easy.
Yeah. But you know, all the sound effect, the blasters and things like that, they all sounded pretty Star Warsy. And when you walked into certain bars, there'd be music playing, and it sounded sort of Star Warsy, I would say. Yeah.
Did you remember do you have like a frame rate option to put on? Normally it's like performance or quality or fidelity, and one runs a bit quicker. Do you remember if you chose between those two and which one you chose?
Yeah, I think there is one, but I went for performance rather than...
So the higher, faster gameplay, basically. More smooth.
Yes.
And was it smooth? Or was it struggling? Because that sometimes is the opposite.
No, I feel like it done an okay job. There were certain bits where you know, when it really kicked off, it did sort of get a bit choppy. But yeah, but as a whole, I thought it sort of performed quite well. Because you know, it does look good when... I don't know if my TV's getting a bit old now because I'm having this problem with Black Myth, but like when you're sort of standing there looking at something, it looks beautiful and you can really see like the distance and things like that. But yeah, when it gets a bit sort of fast and frenzied, it sort of ruins it. So I'd rather go for performance over the visual sort of side.
Yeah, I don't think it is a TV. I think the games are just starting to... We're going to like the 5th year next year. I think they're just starting to be... They're getting a bit cocky, aren't they? Trying to put too much stuff in it. So
really?
What they tend to do is if you have like a higher frame rate version like you've chose there, is when you, like you said, if you're still or you're in like a low sort of stress environment, it will look great. But as it needs to use more compute power, I'm not going to get overly technical, they drop the resolution, like the base resolution. So it might be 4K in one area if you're just standing completely still, but as you start moving, the resolution will drop subtly. But I've even noticed in like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it's like fucking mud on the performance mode. Like honestly, it looks like a PS2 game. You're like, what is this? Same with Final Fantasy 16, and that was really obvious because it would be fine when you were like running, and as soon as you went into combat, the resolution would drop. It'd be like, it wasn't pixelated, but you'd see it. You'd be like, what is going on here? So I think we're just getting to that stage of the generation where some developers are just overworking it, or they're looking at that PS5 Pro and thinking, "Oh, that'll sort it out." Send them £800 worth of kit, and they'll get the full experience. So I'd be surprised if it's your telly, because that's a LG, isn't it? Like a C, like one of the pucker ones that we all got a few years ago.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one when it came out, but they get old so quick, and then I don't know. I don't know if I just get conned, but if I watch anything, it does look good, and most games do look good on it, but. Because it gets old, I just fit in my head. I think, it's old now. Does it need replacing?
I think it's the consoles. They're just struggling a little bit. They're expensive as well, those tellies. Like, if you want to get a replacement for that, it's like $1,000 almost. It's over $1,000, in fact.
The fucking PlayStations are $800 now, so
need $5,000 before it's all said and done to put it aside for the next generation. Fucking remortgage the house. So this is an open world. Well, is it an open world game? Is actually my question, because it looks. I saw the trailers and it looked like it was. You can sort of go anywhere and do what you want. But is it fully open? Like, if you go to a planet, I assume you can't explore the entire fucking planet. Maybe you can, or are you put into like certain sections of the planet? And can you just get in the ship and go where you want and fly around? Like, how does all this work in this open setting? Because it sounds like almost a dream come true for many people who want to just explore Star Wars, but usually there's some sort of gameplay limitation there that stops you from it being like the ultimate experience.
Yeah, so what happens is there'll be a landing pad on each planet. The planet is pretty big, but you can't explore the whole planet. It's just an area of the planet, sort of like a map. And then you get in the ship, and on the ship there's various things you can do. You can upgrade your gun and da-da-da-da-da. And then you go into the cockpit, and then it will say, what planet do you want to go to? And you click the planet, and it sort of sends you out into the atmosphere of the planet, where there are missions out there you can do. So you can go aboard a space station, or you can go aboard, you can shoot some pirates, or you might have to go and collect some loot, which means you just fly up to a box and push square and you collect the loot. And then you click something, maybe both triggers, and it enters into hyperspace mode. And then as long as there's a clear run and there's nothing in front of you, it just shoots to the planet which you chose earlier. And then you go into that planet's atmosphere, and you can fuck around outside the atmosphere. And then if you point your like Stark or craft or whatever it is towards the planet, it will fly towards the planet and then land into another landing zone. And then you're on that planet. And then you can explore the planets, just get off and wander around. But in each planet, there's just a lot of nothingness with a few sort of villages and settlements and towns. So there's basically one big town in every planet, and then a couple of little villages and settlements where you can do odd bits and bobs. But when you get into the actual city, you can't sprint. You can't just get your gun out. You can't use your hover bike. Yeah. So it sort of it's not like Grand Theft Auto where it's just all carnage. You can do what you want all the time. It's sort of, you're in this section now. Your guns,
like Fallout,
no
you could just open up on people, couldn't you? And just just annihilate it. Yeah. Okay. So it's not like one of those sort of in-depth RPGs. It kind of forces you to not do that, which kind of makes sense, because you just fuck the game up, wouldn't you, if you just blew everyone away in the town.
Yeah, but I don't know. I quite like that, just because it normally leads, like, especially in Fallout, like you might kill someone and you go, "Oh fuck, he was actually quite a big character," but it's been and gone now. What you going to do? And I do quite like that, but in this game, there's none of that. No,
none of that. Then, is there more than one landing pad on each planet, or is it just one, and you always go to that one landing pad and start from there?
It depends. Some planets have like 2 or 3 because they're bigger planets with a bit more. And some of the smaller planets just have the one landing pad, I believe.
What's this bike like, this speeder? Because that's obviously the main traversal on the planets, rather than running everywhere. You jump on the bike and just steam off. Like, what's that like? Is it fun or good? Again, just serves a purpose.
It just serves a purpose. The first time I went on it, I was like, this would be good because you can upgrade it, but it doesn't really change anything. It goes slightly faster, and you can't get your gun out and shoot while you're on it, but people shoot at you on their speeder bikes, which I found really weird.
Nick should be shooting. Get him a little cannon. He can start blasting them away.
You can do this thing where you can sort of freeze time, and then a bit like the what was the system called in Fallout where it freezes and you can aim?
Oh, the VATS, yeah.
that. So it's a bit like that, but you can only aim at a certain person. You get like 3 shots, and you'll kill all 3, and then you have to wait for that to load up again, recharge. But in that time, there might be another 6 or 7 people that's chasing you down. So it'd be easier if you could just get a gun and shoot while you're on your speeder bike, but that's not allowed. You can't do that.
Not allowed to do that. What's the basic loop of the game then? So you'll land on so once you're outside the opening area and whatever, and it's like, okay, go and be an outlaw. What's like a typical kind of arc that you might do? You just land somewhere, work for someone, like steal stuff. What are they asking you to do?
Basically, there's like missions, side missions, and then there's like bounties or contracts with different criminal enterprises. And then if you do things for the hut, your sort of reputation with the hut will go up, but it might go down. It means you're stealing something from another one, and it will go down with like Crimson Dawn, I think they are.
Okay.
I think there's four factions overall. So you're basically always playing off each other.
Yeah.
And then in each town, so each planet is sort of run by or has a majority of one in particular criminal enterprise. So it might be like if you go to like Tatooine, it's the Hutts.
They're the daddies.
They're the daddies. But if you have a bad reputation with the Hutts, then when you go into any of their areas, they'll just fucking shoot you on sight. So you're trying to keep everyone good, because when you get into their areas, that's when you get missions.
Right, so you want to be able to go in there and get missions off them so you can progress, basically.
But in each area as well, no matter how high your rating is with them, there'll be a section that's locked off and you can't go into it, even if you're the absolute... So there might be something in that small area that Crimson Dawn want you to steal, and then you'll go into that area, and that's when it becomes like the stealth game. You have to go through the vents and then not get seen, and then steal something from them and then give it to Crimson Dawn. And there's sort of certain ones as well where you'll get a phone call and it will say, oh, this is... Or not a phone call, but it'll come over your headset or whatever, and it'll say, oh, you can actually give this to the Hutts, and you're meant to give it to Crimson Dawn, but if you give it to the Hutts, you'll actually boost... They'll give you more money or whatever. So you can sort of make... Over. Yeah. So there is a lot of that, but I don't know. It wasn't really well implemented at all, because it doesn't make any difference to the story. The story's the story, no matter what you do, no matter who's your favourite with. The only thing it does is unlocks certain stuff. So you have a gun, clothes, and you might unlock, if you're sort of at the very top, so you have like poor, good, excellent, perfect, or something like that. And if you're at perfect, you unlock specific guns and specific clothes and things like that for your character that you can only get if you have a really excellent sort of reputation with that particular criminal enterprise.
So can you like play it is there like only a finite amount of like missions to do? So eventually your reputation, you're never going to get, like, say if you fucked over the Hutts for so long and then you're just like, oh, actually I want to bring them back, do you just run out of missions to get them up to like the top level so you can unlock that upgrade? Or is there like an endless amount of things that you can do? So you could actually, if you wanted to, keep playing until you've maxed out one of them, and then just leave them and focus on another one and max out them as you go through? Or is it just not enough content to do that?
No, there's loads of missions. You could do one and then just bin them off and then do the next one. And I think so when I done it, I managed to have 3 out of the 4 faction. I had them like excellent, as high as they could go, and the Hutts they would literally shoot me on sight. Like I couldn't go anywhere near them. Yeah. So, but there was even points where I thought, well, I could actually. You might even be able to have excellent with all 4 of them.
Yeah, if you play it in a certain way.
Because it gives you sort of, when you do a job, it will say, I think it says like you get 500 reputation points or something like that with the Hutts. But if you did it that way, then you'd get 200 reputation points for Crimson Dawn. So it's almost like, well, I might as well do it for the Hutts because I'll get a much bigger reputation point. So you can play them off against each other, but it's not that well implemented in the game because, like I say, it doesn't really seem to make a lot of difference in the end game.
No. It'd be fun if you could, like, if there was like a separate story that peaks with your reputation, basically, and there's different outcomes depending on who you've. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you'd got the huts as the best one, then there's like a faction war or something that sort of ends that particular story arc. But you're kind of just doing it for upgrades or for ease of access, I guess. You don't want to be blown away when you go to a certain planet. You just work on doing some contracts for them for a little while.
Yeah.
So even if you're in shit, like standing with the huts, they will still give you jobs if you like ask for them. Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a bit mad. But you sort of in every sort of planet there'll be a little person, and you go and see that person, and they give you the contracts.
Oh, okay. So it's a neutral. Or is
yeah.
Okay, so they're not like affiliated with the Enterprise. They're like a handler of sorts.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So they don't know you're necessarily doing it. That's interesting. So one of the controversial, one of the common things I saw that people did not like about Star Wars Outlaws was the stealth element of it and the forced stealth missions or activities that would insta fail if you got caught. And what made that even worse was that some of the checkpointing was not very generous. So you'd go back 15 minutes worth of slow gameplay and having to do that again and hope you don't fuck it up the next time. Is that your experience with what you played of Outlaws? Because they've even come out, and I think I sent you the message where they're saying we're going to make changes to the gameplay. You know, they're going to try and get it so that you can shoot your way out of things if you get caught. And I think that's their sort of end goal of this. But as I understand it, there's some missions where if you get seen, it's over and you have to go back to a predefined point. And I can imagine that can get frustrating.
Yeah, it can. And a lot of the time as well, there was certain points where I thought, I don't know what I've done to be seen.
Right,
and you can't nothing's explained to you. So you think you set off a bomb, you can get Nick to set off a bomb. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that because every fucking person will be on me. Yeah. And nothing, the bomb goes off and people go, what's that? And then 10 seconds they go, it's nothing. And then they just carry on walking. You're like, it's a fucking bomb. Like, it's just blown a fucking hole in the side of the wall. Like, but no one cared about that. And it's just because the stealth was just so bad. It was just so...
Right.
It was like playing like... Do you remember Days Gone? There was like little stealthy bits in that.
Yeah, dog shit.
Yeah, it genuinely reminded me of that. It was just that sort of basic. And
that was insta-fail as well, wasn't it? For those certain, like... I can't remember what they were called. There were certain like missions where you had to skulk around like the scientists and stuff.
Yeah,
I think they were. They were like the worst parts of that game. It's like why?
Yeah, and this is like a major part of the game,
right.
And it reminded me of that. It was like that's what you're dealing with, and there were certain points where you sort of get to know different missions, and you'd go into because I had a bad reputation with the huts. I'd look at it and I think, fuck this, I'm just going to shoot everyone. And I would just kill everyone, just shoot everything. Because I just thought it's not worth it's going to take me an hour, or I could do 10 minutes and just blow the shit out of everyone. And it was just, that's what I was doing in the end.
Yeah.
But that's only on certain missions you can do that. You can't do it on everything.
So if someone who you have to stealth no matter what, it won't.
Yeah.
It'll just keep. That's annoying because they've clearly designed some of the missions where you can do that, like you said. So why is that not an option for all of them in some way? Like it doesn't. I know it's probably a narrative reason why you can't be seen.
Yeah,
it's like, well,
it was more.
Put a fucking mask on then.
It was more like you say, like a narrative, because the story would ruin the impact of the story. But there's like areas where you might have to like steal a card that would get you into to unlock some sort of stuff, like new weapons or new upgrades. And you could sneak all around it and go through it. And I just thought, I'm not going to do that. So you should just shoot everyone and just be a mass of bodies behind me. And it was just easier to do that than it was to go for the stealth. And it was more enjoyable. And it wasn't designed to be played that way, which makes you... I just... What I can't imagine is like someone's designed this game and there's a group of people and they're playing it and they're going, are we actually fucking enjoying this? Because this is not good. And I can't imagine anyone going, yeah, this is top tier gaming. Yeah, I just think they must have just been going, oh, fuck, let's just get this done and let's get back on Assassin's Creed Shadows and get that out. And then we'll fucking... It was just so bad.
Yeah, I mean, the team that did this, I think it's the team that did The Division, which is either good or bad, depending on your outlook on that. So, and that didn't have any stealth. Like, you could use cover and stuff, like as a cover-based shooter, which I think you can do in this. Or maybe not. But, yeah, it seems like a strange direction to go in. if you're going to do stealth, it really has to be done very, very well. It's such a hard balance. Like Metal Gear Solid, even that though didn't really have many. Like the newer ones don't really have many insta-fail sections. Like if it kicks off, the base just goes off, and normally you'll die because you just got too many people, and that's a bit different than the game going, oh, stop, back you go. Because on the odd occasion, you would better get away with it in Metal Gear Solid and get out of there. It would completely fuck your reputation because you have to kill all those people, but needs must sometimes.
But it is good because you've got a hope, like you say, because sometimes you do get out, you think it's worth going through this because there's a hope I can get out of this.
Yeah, because I've just spent 40 minutes getting to this prisoner or whatever. I don't want to do that again, so the stakes are higher.
Yeah, so it's worth doing it. But with this, it was just like, no, start again. No. Back to the beginning you go, right, okay. And it's not as if you're enjoying it. It's not like it's Batman or... it's sort of enjoyable sort of stealth, and you're taking people out. It's like, oh fucking hell, all this all over again.
Challenge room or something. It's just
part
of the story you have to get through. When it does kick off, or when you're allowed to engage with the enemies and not reset the narrative, what is the shooting and combat like? Is that up to scratch, or is that? Because you find sometimes with these stealth approach games is that the stealth's no good and nor's the combat because they haven't focused on either of them. They're sort of both there. So neither of them are actually that enjoyable, but I'm just kind of hoping that this has some sort of shining light that actually when it all kicks off you can use your blaster and it's satisfying to at least blow these bastards away.
The actual gun you have is good. It's a good sort of weapon for a game, so you can change it in the game, so you can have like it shoots rapid fire or just like a normal pistol, or you can have it like so it's really powerful but you charge the shots. There's different ways you can do it. That's and good. It is quite a good gun, and you can there is like you can crouch behind stuff and that will deflect weapon, but it's not like it's not like Gears of War where you're sort of push a button and locked into like your cover. It's a bit more basic than that. Yeah. And it is satisfying. It is quite enjoyable, the shooting. The only thing I'll say is the enemies have the worst AI I think I've ever seen of any game of an enemy. They will just run. There's no brains behind them at all. They will just continually come down the same alley and just get fucking like. After about 10, you just think, surely someone's going to come from somewhere else. There must be one of them that will go, I'm going to come round the left. Nope, they all march through the same... and it becomes, you just think, fucking hell, this is just... The enemy AI is probably one of the worst games I've seen, and that sort of kills the combat in a way, because it's that bad. There's just no brains behind them.
What other upgrades can you do? So you got your weapon there, so you can change up the mode of it. I'm sure you can upgrade like the firing rate or power of it. Like, is there any other upgrades to like your armor or your speeder or the ship that you can do? So
the speeder you can upgrade, and you can upgrade like the speed of it and the turning capabilities and how it lands, because you can do jumps and it will land. And your ship itself you can change. Again, the speed, the guns, and you can put different things on it. So. I'm just trying to think. So you can have like a radar setting so you can see the enemies quicker, or you can have an extra gun that will automatically shoot when you push a button, or sort of the stuff that comes out the back. If you get a missile shot at you, it takes care of that missile for you. Yeah. So there is bits, but the actual space combat with the ship, it is pretty shit. It's really, really shit. Again, it's just not that interesting. You're sort of just... I don't know. I remember playing like Star Wars Battlefield 1 and 2, and I quite enjoyed the combat with the spaceships. And you can be like
Battlefront, yeah.
Battlefront. Sorry,
they even done like a separate standalone. I never played it. I think it was like Rogue something or other. It was called. They did like a spaceship game using those mechanics with like a campaign and whatnot. But I remember those. They were good actually. There was certain you could just choose to dive into like a dogfighting map. Yeah. Maybe it was different because it was real players, but I suppose with the AI you can only do so much.
Well, I thought it would be similar to that, but it just wasn't. I just thought that was Battlefront 1 and 2. They were years ago, and they managed to get better sort of combat in space than what you've accomplished here. And it's
open world though. You can fly around the solar system.
One thing I've got to mention to you is one of the things that I feel like with the game is just like a massive missed opportunity, because they've got the Star Wars world and they've done it really well, and there's like a mission, where you're in Tatooine in this dusty old sort of. It reminded me a bit of Mandalorian.
Right.
And it's like a dusty old town. It's really run down, and you go and see a bloke, and he's going to teach you how to be a gunslinger.
Okay.
And he's sort of all of a sudden he's like, "Hold up, stop! The huts are here. They're going to kill us." And there's nothing around you but desert. And he goes, "Oh, here they come on their speeders." And I was looking into the distance, so I was expecting like to see over the horizon all these speeders come, and they didn't. So there's a building to the left, and then 4 blokes would pull up on a speeder. And then when they get off the speeder, or whenever you get off the speeder, there's like a little visual, I don't know what you'd even call it. It's like a small video of them getting off. It's something that happens every time. I don't even know what you would call it.
Like a cue or like a visual?
Yeah, like a cue where they all do the same thing. It's just like something they put in the game. And you're watching these 4 blokes get off, and you just shoot them, and they're dead before they even get off the speeder. And then the next 4 speeders come along from exactly the same direction.
Right.
And then it's just a fucking sea of speeders that are all stood there with the same 4 blokes getting off, doing the same little automated video every time. And before they've even got off, they're all dead. And I was just like, this could have been like a really good mission. You could have like sat there, waited, had your binoculars out, watched them come over the horizon, thinking, there's 10 or 12. But it wasn't. Just pull up from the side of a building, 10 feet in front of you, shoot him before he'd even got off his hover bike, and then the next 4 turn up, the next 4. And there was probably about, I reckon I killed 30 people in that little bit. And it was just the same thing for like 6 waves of 4 or 5 blokes just get off. Little visual of them getting off. It was so bad. And I thought that would have been, that could have been like a really good sort of little mission, and that would have like stuck in my head. And it just stuck in my head because I thought this is just a massive missed opportunity and such a bag of shit.
Oh dear, Star Wars Outlaws, what have you done? Missed opportunity. That's a common theme, I think, for this particular game. Any other business? Anything else that you haven't spoken about? I don't know, like difficulty. It doesn't sound very difficult when they're just getting out row by row, allowing themselves to be shot. But any other stories or things you wanted to mention?
Not really. I had to get that off my chest because I felt like that was bad. There was a couple of missions that are quite good. So there's a couple where you go into like an Empire base, and it feels, it's all very much like the Empire, and you can, it's really true to form. There's stormtroopers in massive formations, and they're sort of hovering about, and there's little robots buzzing around, and so there are a couple of really good missions, but they are so few and far between. I'd say out of the 30, 40 hours I've done, maybe 3 missions that I quite enjoyed, and they're more than, they take about 20 minutes, 25 minutes of the game. So, it doesn't really save it. No. But yeah, apart from that, a lot of it is very samey, very similar. Go and collect this, go and steal that. And if the stealth's not very good and the combat is pretty easy, it soon falls on its arse.
It's not a good recipe, is it?
No.
Well,
if this wasn't a Star Wars game, if this was called
you see that
they're full. Yeah,
I can imagine that'd just be the most generic space shit game ever, potentially. You did finish it though, didn't you? You did get through this one.
Yeah, I did finish the whole story. Yeah,
got to your end credits, so it didn't get put in the botchling bin because usually you've got a habit of just. I'm surprised. Based on what you've told me, I am surprised that you got through this because I'm sure there's been games that have given you less grief that you've walked away from. But I don't know, it's because it's Star Wars. You're like, I have to just at least see this through, and get through it. Because I don't know.
It's more of a financial aspect because I think I paid 55 quid for this, and it's only going to be worth 30 now. So I'm at least going to. And there's not anything else at the moment. It's not that we're littered with games. I know, like the Black Myth, I wanted to play, but when I found out that Black Myth was downloadable only, and I couldn't trade this because I kept saying to you, I will buy this. I'll just trade it in and get Black Myth, and they were like, "No, you ain't, mate, because that's downloadable only." And I was like, "You motherfuckers!" Yeah. So that's the only reason I finished it. If I could have bought a physical copy of Black Myth, I'd have traded this and just bought Black Myth halfway through.
Well. Your loss is Ubisoft's gain, I guess. They've They've done all right out of it. Although they said it's not hit their expectations, I'm not surprised given the reception. At least he got finished, so it's not automatically going into the botchling bin. I think you put Prince of Persia, Lost Crown in there earlier this year because you got pissed off with the backtracking and going back and forth. So that got binned, didn't it, before it got... If you don't finish them, they automatically go in there, I'm afraid. But I might actually start bringing you on to talk about those binned games because there's going to be some stories there. I think that should be
Prince of Persia. What's bad is Prince of Persia is a lot better game than what this is. Yeah, it's a lot better. There's no justice in this marking system. I'll give you that.
No. Well, you can kind of give it a shoeing if you want, because in the gaming gallery, if you want to put it inside the gallery and award it, essentially, you've got platinum, gold, silver, bronze. However you decide that they are what they mean to you. But for those that aren't worthy of going into the gallery, which are few and far between, but there is an option. In the car park, there's a big self-storage container where we just chuck the toot that we finished, and we don't feel deserves to go in there because you don't want people walking around the gallery seeing like dog shit or bad games that we didn't enjoy. So you have got an option if you want to put it in the self-storage. Adkins has put a few things in there. I've put a few things in there. The Division 2 expansion's in there. So it's not going to be alone if you want to chuck it in there. Or you can award it platinum, gold, silver or bronze and have it up in your little personal exhibition in the gallery. Let's say Mark Biff, Star Wars Outlaws, gold or whatever.
I genuinely, I think if you don't like Star Wars, it wouldn't get in the gallery. But it's probably going to get a bronze because I like Star Wars. So it's saved itself just because it's Star Wars, but not because it's a good game.
So all that money they paid Disney to have the licenses saved the game and got it.
Yeah, basically. Basically, yeah.
Prince of Persia is fuming. The Lost Crown can't believe it's been put in the botchling bin, which is the lowest of all ratings that you can get. Didn't even get finished. And Star Wars, not only did it make it into the gallery, it got a bronze. It didn't even get put in the car park. Bloody hell. You're right, there is no justice in this marking system. But that's the way it goes. That's why we enjoy it. I know you've only played like a handful of hours, if that, of Black Myth, but super early impressions, because it's a download-only title. You had your eye on this, and I thought you just weren't going to bother getting it, or maybe hope they did a physical version, but you've took the plunge. I mean, how many digital games have you bought in your time? It's the first one?
No, I think Sifu was my first one. This is my second, I think. Yeah.
How are you feeling after an hour or so, or whatever you've played of it?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a lot better than fucking Star Wars, I'll tell you that much. It's got a very much like a Sekiro sort of vibe about it. And what was the one that came out earlier in the year that's fucking brutally hard?
Well, Elden Ring.
Elden Ring, yeah. It's a bit like Elden Ring, but nowhere near as hard as Elden Ring. Like, not even in the same category. But it's that sort of vibe about it. Looks really good. I'm really impressed with it. I've got it on performance mode. So they do a performance, and they do a balance mode, and they do like the visual mode. So I've got it on performance, and it still looks really, really good. Yeah. Again, one of those just games though that you sort of face the discrepancy between the enemies at the moment. I don't know, it's because I'm early on, but you go to, there's like these little soldiers, and they're like the grunts that you will fight. Yeah, basically, you hit them 3 times and they go, and you go, well, this is a piss. And then you go into an area and there'll be a boss there, and he'll fucking look at you, and that'll be the end of it. You think, there should be a warm-up guy between these fucking toads and this massive geezer. Like
a middle ground that you can sharpen your skills on rather than just getting squashed immediately. Yeah.
But, at the moment it is good. But again, it's that frustration of this guy's basically got to kill me. And once I've been killed from him 3 or 4 times, I go, right, I think I've got his cards marked now. Yeah. I just had like a false sense of hope upstairs. So I've done like about 3 bosses. Yeah. And I just fought one, and I was like, I've done him first time and didn't even die. And I was just scraped through it. And then he's just woke up transformed into something else. And I was like, you fucker. So, yeah.
Is there any like XP to like build your character up? Like, can you power yourself up, or is it mostly skill based at the moment?
No. So it is XP. I think it's called Wishes or something like that. I'll have to double check it. But yeah, you get XP, and then you can level up the character, and there's different stances and different spells, and things that like you can upgrade your stamina, your mana, your health, and different things affect it in different ways, and you can upgrade it. But it's quite full on at the moment. There's a lot. I'm trying to learn a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll track that, and whether it gets finished or not, we'll get you back on as a new process to get these botchling bins wheeled out if we need to. But yeah, I think that can go either way, Black Myth, because I think if you get to a point where you're like, it's just going on and it's fucking hard. I don't know. I feel like you like a challenge though. You don't like to just submit because the game's hard. It's more of the game's shit that you bin it. Like if it's challenging you, you're like, I'm not letting this fucker beat me.
Yeah, I mean, when I played Sekiro, I enjoyed Sekiro.
Yeah,
that was fucking hard.
That's the hardest of all the From Software games.
Is Elden Ring from the same people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Elden Ring was much harder. I thought there was sort of more of a like a logic behind Sekiro, but with Elden Ring, I was just like, this geezer's a horse. Like, the fuck?
It's level based. That's why. Like, if you go to someone too early. Then that horse bloke's there on purpose to show you that you're not ready. He's right outside the entrance, isn't he, or the exit of that limb grate. Like they did that on purpose. But it's all level based. So if you level up your character enough, you'll handle him with ease. But there aren't levels on the enemy, so you'll never really know until you just get smashed by someone. And you think, "Oh fuck me, I'm in the wrong part of town here. I need to go and." But then you can over level, make things almost trivial if you want to put the time in.
Yeah.
Whereas Sekiro was skill based, like there was a little tiny bit of like you could change your weapon or your trick hand, couldn't you? A little bit and some little subtle things. But you're right, it was down to the gameplay.
But as well, because the way my brain works as well, like when that horse trampled me, I was like, "Oh, I've chosen the wrong character. That must be what it is. It can't be me." No. The character. And I'll go back and change it, and I go, "Nope, it's not this character either. He's shit as well."
Yeah,
but they're
all about builds and building up your strength and leaning into your certain weapons that you're going to choose and whatnot. Which it takes a while for people. They don't explain it. So how are you to know? Like, there's nothing in the game that kind of helps you with that. So that's always the push and pull from software games. But yeah, Sekiro is the hardest of the lot, skill based. So you could get through the others.
You haven't played Sekiro. I thought you would have played that.
I think once you and Adkins did it, I was like, I can't be fucked to go for that. It sounded like an upheaval. It's like monkeys throwing shit at you and stuff. And I was like, I don't know if I can. I'm so impatient. Like, if I don't do something first time, it really annoys me. Like, I found myself these days getting really impatient with things. And because on Elden Ring, like I said, you can just level and get through it. And you can call in support if you want. You can fire a flare up and get co-op support in. But Sekiro was like, no, you're on your own. And really, the only way to win this is to learn and beat him. Like, I can't just power up my sword to like level 1,000 and then just one shot him. It's not. You have to learn it. And I was like, I don't know if I've got the patience for that.
I must admit, the final boss in Sekiro, like, it's the only other time I've ever thought about punching the TV. Like, I was just like, this is not. No human can beat this boss. It's impossible.
But imagine the euphoria when you did it, though.
Oh my God. I remember going downstairs and Vic was like, what? And I was like, you don't even know. You don't even fucking know what I've just accomplished upstairs. He wasn't impressed.
That's what they can do. Now, maybe one day on Sekiro, but not for now. Go and play my Japanese turn-based games like Metaphor that no one else is playing in our group. They're frustrating because you fucking get one-shotted and they go on for like half an hour, the fights. And then you get like really costed at the end and die. It's like, fucking hell. Got to go back. And that's all level based as well. So you can get yourself in a pickle if you don't do like your due diligence and level up. So there's always that worry. But no, good stuff. Star Wars Outlaws unbelievably earns itself a bronze though. That as you were speaking, I was like, there's no way this gets in the gallery, but it's survived. It's got in. And that's how it goes.
Only because it's Star Wars. Yeah. If it wasn't Star Wars, this would be.
This is why Disney are just printing money with it, though. You've got people like you just giving them it's Star Wars. I'll do it. I'll watch anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll play anything they put out. Would you recommend this, or because they're different games, I know, or Jedi Survivor? Like, what's the better one in your eyes?
I would say Jedi Survivor's better. Yeah, a lot better. And I played it. I think I played it about 6 months ago, and they'd sorted a lot of the stuff out. Not everything. There was still a lot of problems with it, but like I remember just turning it on and the screen was just black and you had to adjust the settings on your TV so you could see it. And I was like, no one's even put this in a PlayStation. Like, how is this left? This is right. It was so annoying. But yeah, they sorted that out now. So at least you can see the fucking game. But yeah, Survivor's a lot better than Outlaws, a lot better.
Okay, so if people have got a choice, go for Survivor. It's a different type of game, but still quite in depth and fun. Get to play as a Jedi, so.
Or just save yourself a lot of money and just buy Battlefront for $5.
Well, you could do. That's definitely one way of doing it. Anyway, we'll close it out. Star Wars Outlaws earned itself a bronze, and nothing more for us to say here other than thanks for your time and ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.